Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
We need to roll back the state. We spy on all of our own citizens. Our prisons are flooded with nonviolent drug offenders. If you want to know who America's next enemy is, look at who we're funding right now. Every single one of these problems are a result of government being way too big.
You're listening to Part of the Problem on the Gas Digital Network. Here's your host, Dave Smith.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Part of the Problem, our new Wednesday one-on-one segment. I'm very excited for this show. Very happy to have our guest in studio, who is the founder of Black Guns Matter and has now dipped his toes into the slimy, the swampy mess of local politics. Maj Toure, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
I have gotten so many requests to have you on, both from just people in Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and also from friends of mine, people I respect very much. Michael Malice was texting me, I got to have you on. Michael Heiss from the Libertarian Mises Caucus was like, you got to have this guy on your show. So I'm very happy you made the journey and came in, and now you can all stop bothering me because I brought you in.
When is he coming on?
I know. And then when we tweeted back and forth at each other, we got a great response. A lot of people were like, yes, it's happening and all this. So let's try to not disappoint now.
Right. Shouts to Michael Heiss. I was just with him over at YALCON, the Young Americans for Liberty conference. It happened to be in Philly. I was in Baltimore. And I was like, yo, let's just drive back to Philly real quick and let's just do this. So he was there, and I got a chance to kick it with Thomas Massie again. I had met him at the... I saw you just did a thing with him. I saw on Twitter. I haven't checked it out yet. Yeah, it was an IG Live. We're going to do another one, though. It started because we was... you know how he just chopped up John Kerry? You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful. If you haven't watched it, make sure you go watch that exchange. It was just amazing.
And then John Legend jumped in there and was like, dude, you can't be this dumb, bro. And in my mind, I'm like... You calling Thomas Massie dumb?
Right.
The engineer?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? The guy that like took apart his Tesla battery and put it back together. You know, it's
and
like...
by the way, also, just a quick point, also has a home that's completely solar paneled. And, you know, I was just talking on my last podcast about this because I was responding to the Bernie Sanders town hall.
Yeah.
And I was bringing up this thing that just drives me crazy. The specific thing we were talking about was Bernie Sanders' tax releases coming out and how he gives very little percentage to charity. He maximizes his deductions. And it's amazing how people are so generous with other people's money. But when it comes to their own money, so I was bringing up that he had criticized Ron Paul years ago for saying that, you know, Ron Paul's ideology basically says if you can't afford health insurance, you should die. And it's like Ron Paul was a doctor who worked at a Christian hospital for $1 an hour, never turned anybody away, gave out free medical care all the time. And it's funny that earns you like no credit with people when you actually walk the walk. You guys should all be saying, okay, so maybe Thomas Massie doesn't have the same politics as you, but he's not flying around on private jets. He's living in a solar-paneled house.
Listen, a solar-paneled house. So he showed me, I thought he was lying about this chicken coop thing. He's got a like a sunroof chicken coop that moves 3 times a day, traps rainwater. It has like nipples in there so the chicks can like drink water, and there's like a thing in the back so when the chicks lay eggs, they can still be free range and they can lay eggs and they'll come right out as the thing moves without crushing the eggs on his crib. And this is the guy that you're saying is dumb because he's chopping up John Kerry, who clearly does not know what he's talking about. And when John Legend jumped in there all late, I was like, bro. And I was like, yo, John Legend, you know, he went to school in Philly. So I'm like, all right, well, he's from Philly. And UPenn is, you know, Ivy League. But it's like, all right, cool. Like, yo, that's like an MIT thing. Like, that's an engineering thing. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it was just interesting. To me, those politicians that are walking the walk that don't really have time to talk because they walk on what they talk, to me, those are the rock stars.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
You know what I'm saying? I reverse that whole, like, okay, on a federal level, this your guy or your girl on whichever major party is the person. I reverse that. The people that are principled, those are the people that are rock stars to me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And there's something about someone like John Legend in that position who's just coming out and taking the easiest position that you know everyone around you is going to pat you on the back for. Tom Woods, who's like a hero of mine, he's good friends with Michael Malice as well. He's a great libertarian. I remember he wrote this in his book. The book is Real Dissent, and this always really stuck with me. But he basically, what he said was, and I'll probably butcher this, but more or less the point was, he said, look, if you're against slavery, in the year 2019. That's pretty much meaningless. Everybody's against slavery. I mean, 99.9% of us, it's been over for a long time. There's no real threat of real slavery coming back in America. But if you were against slavery in 1840, that really meant something. That meant something. It's like the Abolitionist Party had less than 2% of the vote. The abolitionists were getting lynched regularly. Like this, you were really putting your ass on the line. So the question that's important is, what are you willing to stand for that's unpopular, that can put you in a risky position? And he goes, for all the people who are jumping in on the most popular issues, I can promise you, you wouldn't have been against slavery in 1840.
Nope. And that's the thing. To me, it's like, it's cute to do stuff and say stuff when it's convenient.
Yeah.
Comfort is the great maker of cowards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you come, all right, I get it, that's cute. You know what I mean? That's great. Oh, yeah, cool. When it's convenient. Try going into areas like we do, and I'm not saying it just as the pat on the back, but, there has to be some sort of pat on the back from me. Like, we work hard to make sure the areas that are deliberately misinformed, deliberately kept out of certain conversations, we got to raise the money and then go spend the money and then go find the places while not getting shot while we there.
Yeah, and well, I know this clearly from the positions you take and the work you do, that you're willing to take positions that actually put you in a dangerous situation. I mean, like, you're opposing very high levels of state power, and also just opposing what is the common orthodoxy of what you're supposed to believe, what you're supposed to be saying.
Correct.
So when did you start Black Guns Matter?
We started, ironically, going into the 2016 national elections.
Okay.
We kept hearing, we need a license, voters registration drive. And, me and my friends was like, we need a license to carry drive. You tripping. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, I say this all the time. It started as a funny thing. And then we was like, me and my partner Janine was like, let's do one. Let's just do an event, right? And we called it Black Guns Matter because it was around the time when Black Lives Matter was doing the thing. And my thing was, I don't care if you think my life matters. I don't care. That's in your head. That's something you got to deal with. If you want to look at me, awesome. If you don't, that's awesome too. I'm not here to convince anybody that my life matters. I want to have the means to make sure that I can defend my life because it matters to me.
Right.
I don't care what you think. So we did that way. We had this class. People came from Brooklyn to Philly, right? And was like, and it was way too many people. It was like way too many people. And they was like, I live in Jersey. I'm like, bro, you got a different set of masters over there. You know what I'm saying? So your paperwork, your permission slips are a little bit different. And for us, people was like, we need that. And so we said, what if we did 13 cities after the 13 colonies? We raised $25,000 and we did this. We just did a mini tour. And we would, same thing, ha. And then it turns into we could do this. We do the GoFundMe. Our first city on the tour was Baltimore. All of talking about dudes that's complacent, right? All of the gun dudes that we were like, okay, that was there for the classes, that class, were like, you shouldn't do Baltimore. I'm like, the murder rate over there is crazy. We should do Baltimore. Yeah, but Maryland's not a gun-friendly state. I'm like, duh. That's the reason why we go there. So many of them gun guys was, nah. And so that's how Black Guns Matter came to be. So what we started doing was, instead of the guys traveling with us as gun guys, we was like, all right, we're going to create the lawyers, the instructors, the locations in the actual environment, bring the community to the environment, and let that bubble and grow on its own. So many of the cities that we went to, people will be like, I lived here my whole life. I didn't even know this gun range was here.
Right. I
lived here since 86. Well, that range was here since 83. Never saw it. You know what I'm saying? And then to link those people, really is Fight Club. We just want to create spaces. People have individual cells so we can fight guerrilla style against tyranny.
Right.
That's all it is.
It's really, and I know I've heard you before talk about, the history of gun control. Mm-hmm. It's really, if you know anything about the history of gun control, you would think that Black people in America should be the leading group of gun rights advocates, and yet overwhelmingly they support Democratic politicians who lead the charge for gun control.
They do. So we tend to vote out of tradition and fear, right? And it's like we sometimes, too much of anything is a trap. So sometimes our urban legends or our fables or Grandpop said, that trickle down is now, turned into a trap. The left generally has way better PR.
Well, that's for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so they know how to bring the bells and whistles out because they have to. Because if you don't got the facts, if the facts don't line up with you being, righteous, you got to keep the dazzle and all that other stuff. So the reason why the people have been going that way up until the advent of like these things, right? The reason why people are going their way has been twofold. One, there was the monopoly on the good PR, right? The perception of reality, public relations, whichever way you want to call it. And it was also the lack of access to information. The lack of access, that's why they was removing civics from the schools in the hood.
Right.
It was like, we can't really have you identifying with this shit. We can't really have you going, yo, I'm like Nat Turner. Yo, I'm like, Patrick Henry. Yo, and then it would be, all right, we're going to make you pick between like the white dude or the black dude too. Right? So the reason why urban America has done that is because of the stranglehold on the good PR, the monopoly on that. And the information base, because of the PR, we could keep hiding the information. Not now. We all walking around with the library of like Alexandria in our back pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The other part, the last part to why the left could maintain that, it was really nobody from the hood that was like being unapologetically themselves, objective, going like, yo, he white, he cool to me. Yo, he black, he cool to me. Or yo, he white, he's a piece of shit. And he's black, and he's a piece of shit. There was nobody that was from the demographic that was completely comfortable being themselves, but they had enough knowledge base and confidence to be like, I love hoods. I love the hood. I love the hood. And saying to white people, bro, you probably live in the hood too. Yours might be rural, but you live in the hood.
Right.
So that swirling of it made for like the perfect storm of cavalcade or fucking cornucopia of ignorance. And it was that gray cloud that just pretty much, could be over that matrix the whole time in urban America.
Right.
When we showed up, it was like, yeah, I ain't a gun dude. You know what I'm saying? I got a gang of guns, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I'm not a gun dude. A gun's just a tool to defend freedom. I'm a freedom dude. And no group of people, sorry to my Jewish homies, like if we doing it like suffering Olympics, right? And we don't have to, but like I got 2 points for this. Like we'll make a game out of it. But black people in America, not only have we had a strong and rich tradition with firearms, you're right. This is exactly the reason why we should. The trick becomes, don't fall victim to doing the same things of separation. One of my heroes is Fred Hampton Sr. We don't fight racism with racism. We fight racism with unity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So again, the litmus test for me is, yo, are you cool or are you kind of a dickhead? Are you for freedom or are you in alignment with like state-sponsored monopolies on violence?
Yeah. Well, to me, I completely agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I never really I don't care so much. I agree with you completely. I don't care so much about the gun issue. I care about the state authoritarianism issue. And the gun issue, if you look into the state authoritarianism for long, you realize it's very clearly linked with the gun issue.
Yep.
And this is why all the great authoritarians throughout history have always come after guns.
Give me the guns,
it's a prereq.
bro. Give me the guns. Look, did y'all get the guns first? What the hell are you doing? Where's the paperwork to get rid of their guns? Let's convince them.
Yeah.
Let's convince them that they're moving in their own interests. It's game. The biggest struggle right now is to get my white homies and my black homies that like, yo, if y'all probably into guns and freedom, y'all have more in common than you may think. Just because you understand and respect and support post-Mecca Malcolm, right, doesn't mean that you can't understand and put, John Locke in that same...
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so creating that Bacon Rebellion type vibe, you know what I mean? And it don't got to get ugly. It could just be us organizing collectively and going, yo, we're not shopping at place A on Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? And using your, flexing your muscles that way a bit. That's kind of the next level of it. And tying that into, political power.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's either going to be, the ballot or the bullet, like Malcolm said. I would prefer it's the ballot.
Yeah.
In that sense. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you. And that's why you'd rather act sooner rather than later.
Right.
Because the later you wait to, it has to be a Bacon's Rebellion type of thing when you're in that situation.
Right.
There is something like... I always felt like when it comes down to the gun debate, there will be some people who, like on the right side of the debate, who will point out, it's like, well, the purpose of the Second Amendment was to fight off government tyrants, and that gets widely mocked.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, oh, what a ridiculous idea. What are you going to go shooting at the government?
Yeah.
But I always thought, for anyone who takes an honest look at the state of America today. All right, guys, let's take a quick second and thank our sponsor for today's show, which is, of course, Heshy Socks. I've been telling you guys forever how much I love these socks. Best socks I've ever owned. Spring is here. Summer is around the corner. Temperatures are rising, and comfort is king. Whether you're going for a hike, a ride, you're going to the gym, playing some b-ball, you're stuck in the office, or just chilling on the couch, make sure your feet are as comfortable and stink-free as possible. That's right, problem children. You know them. You love them. Heshy Socks at heshysocks.com. The most comfortable kick-ass fashion socks for work or play. I love them. You can wear them with dress shoes. You can wear them with sneakers. They're quality. They're made from high-end Pima cotton, which is extremely breathable in the warm weather. But they're also treated with antimicrobial properties that keep your feet fresh and they don't stink. But most of all, they're just comfortable socks that look great. Heshy socks are cushioned with stabilizing arch supports and stay-up technology, so they don't bunch up and fall down on you. I've told you this before, but they're the best socks I've ever owned. Get one pair, you're going to be going back for more. Heshy offers a variety of colors and styles, ankles, basics, and fashion socks to fit your need. So go to heshysocks.com, and if you enter the promo code PROBLEM30, you're going to get 30% off your entire order. It comes to $7 a sock. It's a great deal. You will not find this quality at this price anywhere else. Stop buying overpriced socks at the mall or some inferior site that sells socks that fall apart after a couple of washes. Go to heshysocks.com. Use the promo code PROBLEM30. Get 30% off. Believe me, you're going to thank us. All right, let's get back into the show. What do we... we have the most militarized police probably in the history of the world.
Yep.
We have the biggest incarceration rate in the world.
Yep.
We have, 50,000 SWAT raids a year. The
Yep.
EPA's got a SWAT team. The Department of Education has a SWAT team. Things you could never possibly justify. And then when you see politicians start talking about going after guns, is it really that crazy for me to think this is all kind of related?
Yep.
It's not a coincidence that all the people who want to grow the size of government are also always talking about, maybe if we just come after your assault weapons.
Or your bump stocks.
Yeah.
Let's start there. The people that aren't aware of that, and again, I understand why they're not aware of it. Civics, which was a foundation. And first we got to start here. We got to deal with the fact that the nation that we live, I've been to a few countries and continents. I like America, just on the lazy tip, right?
Yeah.
Just on Wi-Fi is around everywhere, right? There's a certain level of complacency and or comfort that comes along with, stuff is already around. I can go into a bar and just kind of even if I got one of these phones and there's no service on, I could still kind of get Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
When I'm in Jamaica, I have friends whose house doesn't have a door on it.
Yeah,
So,
no, I hear you. They just had a bunch of Oreos with peanut butter filling put out on the spread out there. It's I never even thought of that.
Right.
That's pretty good.
We're fine. Our level of conveniences are cool.
Yeah.
But we have to, so we love the place that we live. We love our families. We love our nation. We love our countrymen and women, so forth and so on. We have to deal with the contradiction that the founding fathers, that it happened, bro. There were people like T-Pain that was yeah, no, I'm not doing the slavery thing. That's we just said, give me liberty. You just said give me liberty or give me death. We can't do that to them. And there was other people George Washington was maybe not so much.
Yeah.
If we love our nation, we have to have an honest, reality-based conversation about the contradiction first. That does not mean that you don't love America. That does not mean that you hate and, you want the flag to burn and, hail and brimstone. You have to have that conversation first. And then from that space, we can go, okay, we know what we want. We know what those founding fathers put together, which was, that system of checks and balances thing was kind of all right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That list of human rights is, I can feel that. The more you don't have that honest approach to the scenario to keep even those men in check. Bro, you was cool here, but you was lame as fuck over here.
Yeah, well, Thomas Jefferson's probably the best example of that. How you could write the Declaration of Independence while owning slaves at the same time, and to live that contradiction. I mean, is there a better example of why you don't want to give people too much power?
Right.
That even the guy who was writing this was writing about how all individuals have these inalienable rights and at the same time owning
Go
slaves.
get my fucking water.
Yeah, and that is why people, like you said, like Thomas Paine, should get like some credit, because you all the excuses you could make for Thomas Jefferson. Well, it was the time. It's like, okay, well, here's another founding father
At the same
who
time.
at the same time had a principled stance against slavery and actually lived it, like we were talking about before. Actually
Massie,
walked it,
right?
You know, like wasn't just saying these things, because it is hard to say. It's like. By the way, it doesn't change the Declaration of Independence. It's a beautiful document.
Right.
But it's hard to not look at the contradiction.
And if you look at the contradiction, I think the level, I don't think that they did this intentionally, but in all of those eloquent writings, right, it's like, yo, the flaws of men. They gave you a living representation of the contradiction, which shows you the flaws of men, not just men and women from that time. Just the fact that it's man. There's bitches around? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, women too. Like, these are things that it's like, yo, you got to actually look at that, laugh at it, expose the contradiction to the maximum degree, and at the same time go, make sure I don't fall victim to that. When you're doing it that way, then we can start going around, okay, well, shit, how did we forget that?
Right.
How did we get away from that? What happened? Because over time, by attrition, you don't have an attachment to it because you don't even know about it. I live in Philly, right? I used to get blasted and I always trap weed in school, right? If it was a slow day, I would like leave. I would get blasted. I would go down to like take tours of like Independence Hall, Constitution Hall, like City Hall, and just take tours. I would go to the Masonic building. I would just take tours. At the time, they was like free. And I'm in this joint like, so you mean to tell me they wrote it right there? Oh, man. Then when we would go to like, in the summers, we would go to like Hershey Park or Busch Gardens, which is like in Virginia. Colonial Williamsburg is another place. And I'm like, God damn it. The thing is, if you understand that history, you can start identifying yourself with, certain levels of greatness. And I don't care if you're talking about recent as 1776 to rewinding it all the way back to, days of antiquity. When you're talking about, Hora Maquette, when you're talking about, Akhenaten, when you're talking about guys that created monotheism, if you have an understanding of it, right, and then you start looking at that, okay, Akhenaten created monotheism, was like, hey, guys, the sun, right, it gives everything, so let's just go ahead and sun disk it out. And all of these other things are springs of that. Then you got to look at the politics and the nature of man.
Right.
Okay, Akhenaten gets murdered by his folks. He gets murdered, and they like, yeah, put the puppet in, King Tut, the like kid. And now that whole sun disk thing, we going right back to polytheism. Then you start going, you understand that level of politics from days of antiquity. And then you go all the way, fast forward up to 1776, you can find yourself, regardless of your melanin content or lack thereof, you can find yourself in that because you have a broader understanding of it. So then when somebody comes and tells me, well, no, we don't really want to take all of the guns. Right now, they're not even saying that. Eric Swalwell is saying shit like, well, we want to just like ban them and buy them back. Okay, well, what about people that don't want to sell them to you?
Right. And that's always where the state authoritarianism comes in when you ask that simple question. It's like, oh, okay, so that sounds nice, but what about the person who doesn't want to be in on that?
Well,
what about the person who opts out? It's like, oh yeah, they're throwing them in a cage.
Right.
Oh, that's what the answer.
We might just have to shoot those guys.
Right. So okay, so that's because everything sounds nice.
Yeah.
Everything sounds nice when it's just kind of like, whatever it is. I was just debating a guy about taxation a few days ago, and it's like, yeah, just the idea of just being like, well, we want to take some money and help other people who are nice. It's like, yeah, no, okay, that's nice. What about the guy who doesn't send his money in?
Right.
What do you do to that guy? It's like, there's a cage waiting for you.
That guy's a piece of shit. We got to get him out of here.
Right, exactly. So that's the authoritarian mindset.
The irony of that is philanthropy exists. Yeah. There's people that generate $1 billion, and Tom's the shoe people, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm just recently finding out about this group. I'm like, yo, so every time y'all sell a pair of shoes, y'all like give one away? Yeah, by our own volition because we want to.
They just had a bunch in fucking Paris. They just had a bunch of billionaires who basically volunteered to pay for all the damage of Notre Dame. I mean, it's like this happens all the time, and these things don't get huge headlines in the papers because it is kind of a threat to the system. And especially now with GoFundMe and all this stuff, if there was ever an argument for not needing the state to deal with charity cases, it's the strongest it's ever been. The strongest.
Domino's is paying for potholes.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what are you going to tell me after that? The pizza people.
Oh, I love that for the who will build the roads question. Now there's just this like GIF
people,
that people are posting of Domino's filling potholes, and it's just like, well, there's one idea.
If you're exposing those contradictions, you should have guns because you affecting motherfuckers' paper. My goal is to be the most dangerous man in America. I honor it.
Yeah.
I want to be, people are like, I'm fucking dangerous. I want to be that person because I want to be well connected, can galvanize millions upon millions, 40 to 50, I'll take 40 to 50 million Americans.
That's not a bad number.
That we can galvanize around issues and just give them the information. And how awesome would it be to be able to do it? And you can start with a class where you're talking about safety, conflict resolution, de-escalation, and firearms, a part of that too in the Second Amendment.
Right.
To be able to do that space for the most hardworking, forgotten, overlooked sections of all Americans, that shit gonna make me dangerous, and I want that.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that in that space and then you don't have guns, either A, get ready to take the money when they come try to buy you, or just like expect your like car to flip over or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reality is, like you said, all of these things are connected. All of these things, I think the founding fathers to this nation kind of knew that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, right. I mean, it's like the First Amendment and Second Amendment are in very close distinction, and then there's reason for that.
Right.
It does seem like there's this, like what you were talking about, where there are these pockets of really high crime, high violence area across the country. Yeah. And I mean, you see it where it's like, I remember driving back from Philly, we're doing gigs there with my buddy Jay, and we drive back from Philly to New York, and we would drive through Camden.
Yeah.
And, you drive through some of these areas,
Ghost town.
and it's like, it is almost like you left the country you live in, and you're in all of a sudden, you're like, holy shit, man, like this is insane. And for all the talks about all these different public policies, this very rarely really comes up in a serious way. Sometimes Fox News will kind of use it to hit lefties over the head with, like if they talk about police brutality, they'll say, oh, but what about black on black crime? You never talk about that. But then they're not even really talking about black on black crime. They're just kind of, it's like, okay, so when are you guys actually talking about this? They don't actually have any solutions. The gun control advocates pretend that gun violence, the solution is gun control, but the problem is that all of these pockets exist in very high gun control areas. It doesn't seem to do anything to keep guns out of criminals' hands. Correct. What do you think? I mean, it seems to me what you're looking at doing seems to at least be a plausible potential solution.
It like the data's there. Like, so again, you take I always use this as a talking point. I got like talking points in my head, right? Since 1991, when Joe Biden 1990s when he created it, became a law or bill in 1991. The gun-free zone situation, right?
Right.
Since then, over 90% of the shootings, mass shootings, are in gun-free zones.
Right.
So we have the data of 30 years of data going, yo, guys, this isn't working. Like, this does not work. John Lott has done several books on it. More guns, less crime. Mm-hmm. We got 16 at this point constitutional carry states across the country that have lower violent crime because it's a culture around, yo, we got burners and we safe and responsible with them, and I can protect what I have and you're going to protect what you have, so I'm not going to try to. Gun people generally are freedom people for the most part unless you're a FUD. The problem is you've separated urban America on purpose. You've separated those big pockets away from the culture because to give them the culture, you got to give them the freedom. If you give them the freedom or the conversation around those freedoms or the information, the civics, if you do it and those things go together, now you can't control them.
Yeah.
So if you can't control them, you can't create policies that are born of the ignorance that comes from the ignorance in that culture or lack of because of the fact that they don't know anything about it. So it's the same 1,000 dudes doing the same silly shit in Chicago. Then you make rules for Chicago and in turn Illinois. that all of the other people in different parts of Illinois are like, yeah, I don't even know why that's a rule for me.
Right.
Because it's about starting here, creating this quote-unquote problem, and then spreading that out like a virus. You know what I'm saying? So with us, we just go, yo, that's a virus. None of that has worked. It's not true. It doesn't make people safer. It doesn't make the quality of life better for Americans. It does not. We are actually going to say, okay, can we teach people about firearms in a safe and responsible manner? Can we give them the information? Can we remove the barrier to entry, the financial barrier to entry? Yes, let's do it for free. People will pay ahead. GoFundMe, GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter. Right? Shameless plug.
Absolutely. Get it in.
People will donate. We will do the thing properly. People will learn. We'll create pockets, and you cannot replug those people back into that matrix.
Right.
So it's in essence going, what you're talking about was wrong. It never worked. It was not intended to work. Here's the data for that. You take a minute and mull that over. We're going to actually be applying the solution. That way is way more informative and supportive of liberty and those ideologies that are written in those texts, right? It is more in alignment with that than I believe that some people even want us to, because it's going to start to affect money.
Yeah, and not just money, but I mean the black people in America are a very important voting demographic for the Democratic Party. I mean, this is a huge part of how they maintain national political relevance. I mean, if you take the black vote, and black people actually vote at a higher percentage than just about any other group. Like, they show up.
Right.
And if you take black people out, I mean, Hillary Clinton doesn't barely lose to Donald Trump. She gets destroyed by Donald Trump. And this is true Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, any of these Democratic presidents, they rely on black people voting. And you see this when you've seen things like, look, the two examples that come to my mind were Kanye West and Candace Owens. Now, neither of those people are people that I'm like looking to as my intellectual leaders or something like that. I have heard both of them say things that I kind of roll my eyes at. But it's been pretty interesting to notice the ferocious backlash that they have gotten. Like, this is something you are not allowed to do.
Right.
You are like starting to talk to black people and tell them that they can reconsider whether they want to be behind Democrats or not. And man, it's been kind of eye-opening to see the backlash, particularly, by the way, for Kanye, who did a lot of good. I mean, say whatever. I thought it was a little bit of an unhinged rant he had in the Oval Office, but Kanye and Kim Kardashian went and saved some poor woman's life. I mean, like something that nobody can really defend, this one-time offender who was in jail for life.
20 years, he already did it, first-time offender.
I mean, Kanye West is talking to the Republican president about criminal justice reform that then passes.
First Step Act.
I mean, it's like, this is kind of incredible. And it seems like all these people on the left, you're like, well, you should be kind of supporting this. Hey guys, let's take a quick second and tell you about our sponsor for today's show, which is People's Choice Beef Jerky, LA's original small batch beef jerky. It's a family business from California that's been making quality jerky for over 85 years. Unlike mass-produced beef jerky, People's Choice Beef Jerky is marinated, sliced, and cooked by hand. That's right, People's Choice Beef Jerky is handmade in small batches. And I'll tell you, you can really taste the difference. Me and Rob were just having some of the cowboy peppered outside right before the show, and you can tell that it's cooked by hand and sliced by hand. It tastes much better than the mass-produced stuff, so I recommend you guys give it a taste. Beef jerky is a great snack. It's a great quick meal. You keep it in your desk at work. It's healthy. It's just the perfect snack. So go to peopleschoicebeefjerky.com. They have a diverse line of products and flavors, and if you use the promo code POTP20, you're going to get 20% off anything you order. The promo code will be active for 1 month only, so make sure you take advantage. Once again, peopleschoicebeefjerky.com, promo code POTP20 for 20% off. All right, let's get back into the show.
The Democratic Party. So first of all, run it back to history. Facts. Even George Washington, if you like, President's Day, get sales on shit, right? Okay, cool. George Washington didn't want a two-party system. He was like, guys, no, don't do that. That'll fuck it all up, guys. Don't listen on my deathbed. Hey, guys, remember, don't do that whole like two-party system shit. It's created what we have now. It's like so much so it makes local politics, which you actually have a very impactful hand in. It's made that seem like the undercard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The Democratic Party, again, they understand PR. When I talk to people over at like big Second Amendment organizations and they say, we want inclusion, I'm like, no, you don't. Your actions and deeds have shown it. And on top of that, you don't even have any hip hop acts at your big events. You're talking about, then we're not even talking about race. We're talking about the demographic. The Democratic Party understands hip hop. That's why everybody from the Democratic Party was going, well, wait, Kanye might be on some weird shit, but he's kind of, that part makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's what they feared about Kanye too.
Yeah.
Was that we're like, this guy he transcends politics. He's like a social influencer.
Yeah.
Who kids have posters of him and are listening to his music. And if he gets in their ear, this isn't just like some random hip hop artist. This is like one of the biggest,
the greatest of all time.
One of
He's
probably top
there.
5 in the last couple decades.
Right.
So there's something about that's going to be very powerful.
They can't. That's for the same reason why black media is scared to let me on their airwaves.
Yeah, I could imagine.
They go like, because it's like, okay, who's blacker than me? I'm in Chicago. I'm in New Orleans. Okay, I'm like light skinned because it's like we just get in the spring. But okay, I get it. I get in like my vitamin D will charge up. But okay, so who's doing the work? We putting the money where our mouth at.
Yeah.
Right? So okay, we're going to where all of the homicides is at, where all of the death is at. I moved to Chicago to do conflict resolution for a month on our own dime. Just conflict resolution out on the South Side, dealing with, gang members and all of this other stuff. Our community. Right? So we're doing that. And we say that this is a service that the black community needs. Okay, we're doing it. We raised $177,000 and gave it away to the people to do this. Why isn't black media knocking down our door?
Yeah, that's a great question.
They're afraid. And you should be fucking afraid. You should be very fucking afraid of me. Because it's like 1,000 me's, right? And I'm going to make 1,000,000 me's. The problem is, y'all motherfuckers don't want to own the fact that, all right, we was on bullshit for a minute.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Just say, yo, I fucked up, bro. My bad. How can we move forward?
Yeah. Well, I compare it a lot to the media with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And how they really jumped onto this Russia-Trump collusion thing. And a lot of that is because they can't really admit that he won the election fair and square, because to do that would be to condemn what they've been doing, because then they have to go, well, I guess we haven't been talking about these issues that so many people really care about.
Yep.
Like we've been talking about, whatever the you're talking about transgender bathrooms, and Donald Trump is talking about immigration and jobs and wars we don't need to fight.
Look,
and it's like, oh, it turns out maybe we should have spent some time on that.
Well, my man was like, when he was campaigning, and he was like, he was in Detroit, and he was like, you got no jobs. You go outside, you get shot. I mean, if you vote for me, what do you got to lose? Everybody from every hood was like,
dude, I've never seen, that was a great moment where almost every white liberal who I know was like, how offensive was that? And every black dude I know was like, I get what he's saying. He's making a good point. Well, but and at the essence, and Donald Trump is fairly clumsy with a lot of the things he says and completely unguarded, which is what people either love or hate about him. Right. But I think at essence, what the point he was making is like, so you've been block voting for the Democrats for basically since the 30s at this point. How's that working out?
Right. Shouts to LBJ for that.
Yeah.
The twist is there needs to be a more balanced approach. The reason why he works as a politician is because he wasn't a politician.
Yeah.
Now, I would love for him to be more... and I there's areas where I completely disagree with him. And
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? His son follows me, Trump Jr. follows me on the gram. We chop it up here and there, right? But I'm not going to not say, like, yo, bro, like, that bump stock thing, like, the Second Amendment thing is like, he's ass over there.
Yeah.
He's trash. Now, when you're talking about cutting red tape, cutting employment, because it's like, yo, man, get this out of here. Yo, why are we involved in this thing over here? What do we get from that?
Yeah.
Right? I got to agree with that. That's the same as every hustler that I've ever known in any hood. It's, yo, that don't get us no money over there. Why are we over there? That's stupid. Like, let's come back over here. Yo, that's not what's selling right now. Like, that's going to be a waste of our time. I don't want to even pay for baggies for that anymore. Nobody's using baggies anymore. Right. All of these things are in alignment with that. Now, I think that this is the reason why, for me, politics is the natural progression to a certain extent. One, it's a personal challenge because it's like it's several personal challenges. It's like, okay, I feel that sentiment, which is like, yo, I don't know about this way. The way the regular systems and how DC works and all that other type of stuff, even local politics, it's a learning curve for me. But I think all of the people that know all of the curves and all of the hookups aren't actually doing the job that they're supposed to be there doing, right? So I think the general public, even with the whole, ooh, he's a Republican, media said he was racist. You don't know this dude. You never heard him talk in real life. I think this the reason, even with that, the reason why he got such a decent approval rate, and especially with the hood, is because it was like, nah, that makes sense. He kind of a 70-year-old billionaire that might be kind of a jerk. However, that part makes sense. I think Americans want objectivity. We just in a space where it's been so the pendulum this way or the pendulum this way.
Yeah.
That if you're actually paying attention and got half a brain, you're going, yo, we needed more balance. We need somebody to be objective. And that's the reason why our events and our classes and our things work. We're saying these rules are infringements on your human rights. They are. Our predecessors left us in this box, though. So I have to give you information to maneuver through that. I'm not going to tell you just do it and not tell you the potential repercussions and consequences. These are felonies that you could go to jail for because our predecessors left us here. They took us away from where the founding fathers left us at, and now we're in this box. So while I'm telling you that this is an infringement, here's how you don't go to jail while you politically organize to overturn the infringements. That is balance, not just Second Amendment is my carry permit. Okay, cool. Do it in Brooklyn, get caught, go to jail. See you on Rikers.
You're going to jail for a long
time.
Yeah.
Right? Or I'm not going to tell you, oh, just all the way be cool, and even if they come up with more and more rules, just submit. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you to organize politically. After you get the information, you've assessed it, you've figured out your position, this is what you do, and then you vote with your dollar, and you vote with your energy, and you vote at the ballot to support people that are in alignment with those principles. If I do one or the other, or be on one extreme or the other, one, I'd blow out the frame really, really fast. If I just said, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm going to say all of the Fox talking points, right? I'd blow out the frame.
Right.
If I just went all the way left and was like, oh, man, we need X, Y, Z, I'd blow out the frame. That actually doesn't help the Republic, though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The tragedy of all the gun laws and all the additional gun regulations, too, is that they end up fucking over the people who need it the most. Yep. So there's really nobody who needs a gun for self-defense more than people who are living in these high crime areas. Right. I mean, and everyone, I think John Lott, writes about this a lot. No pun intended. But he's But does that happen in your brain as a comedian a lot? I just went a lot. Okay, fuck.
Right.
God damn it, that didn't come off right. But I actually had dinner with John Lott once with Gene Epstein, who's another friend of mine, when he was doing a debate on gun control, and he was great. And it was really interesting to talk to him for a while. But one of the points that he brought up, which I've read him on this before, is that every little regulation, even if it's just a license and it's a charge basically in order to have or it's a background check where if you're wrongfully put on it, you have to get yourself off of one of these no-buy lists or all this. It ends up just being a fee. And who does that disproportionately affect? People who have less money. Now, who are the people living in these high crime areas? And it ends up going and fucking over. And it's like, who are the people who actually need a gun for protection? Right. Well, it's probably not someone in a mansion in some wealthy neighborhood. Right. I mean, that's not where someone's gonna break into your house. It's in these high crime areas where they have the biggest need. And of course, I mean, we could, like you said, we have the empirical evidence at this point. No amount of gun control is keeping guns out of gangs' hands in Chicago or Baltimore or D.C. or Detroit or any of these places.
The trick is to understand the actual reason for gun control, and the origins and its spread of gun control is all gun control is racist, all of it. Racism is smart though. Racism goes, yo, we can't just call them like niggas and spics and like kikes. We can't
not
really
anymore.
Not anymore.
That's out.
We can't do it that way. How can we evolve? Again, PR. How can I present something to you that I can convince you that is for your benefit, but it's actually to your detriment, right? So if I just put they're very good with words.
Yeah.
Like using words that like Environmental Protection Agency. No, you don't. No, you actually don't.
Well, that's the whole essence of government was the
Right.
Patriot Act or the
Right.
Friends. Everything
This
sounds
is so
nice.
patriotic. And you read it, you're like, yo, this is tyranny, like in the book.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's racist. Like, gun control in America is older than America.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So slave codes, Louisiana Purchase, you see people that look kind of black, I'm paraphrasing. If they got anything that could look like a gun, you could shoot them. You could kill them. That's one. Two, right after emancipation. These are the two major ones. There's 3 or 4 that are super major. These are the ones that I tell everybody, start here and research that. Okay, emancipation. Hey, guys, you're free. You fought for it. The abolitionists and all these guys did their thing. Oh, but we got to create new rules for these motherfuckers that we just was like fucking up for a very long time. Yeah, y'all can't have this. And you can't go ahead. And then you spread it. So what happens is over time, that veneer starts to wear off and people get more technology increases. Printing press, this, that, whatever, all the way up to these joints, right? Now people have access to the history. And now you have to rebrand. Gun control is racism rebranded.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so they do a very good job of presenting it because they appeal to the emotional argument about the trauma surrounding the ignorance. But then the question becomes, well, if people weren't ignorant about it and the culture was as such, like those other 14, 15, 16 now constitutional carry states, if we shifted the culture, then we wouldn't have the ignorance. If we didn't have the ignorance, then we wouldn't have the same level of trauma.
Right. The thing that's so interesting to me is that some of these same policies that were once promoted for explicitly racist reasons, like nobody was hiding it. Nobody was like, it was like, oh no, this is why we have to disarm black people.
We don't fuck with you.
Like this is,
right.
like this is the problem.
Right.
They'll now be promoted by people who claim to be champions of anti-racism, but it's the same policy. So, when you say it's racist, it's like, I mean, what's in the person's heart, who's promoting it, who knows, and does it really even matter, to be honest? If the effect is the same, I mean, just for example, the trade unions in South Africa during apartheid used to promote a minimum wage.
Yeah.
And this was explicitly to keep black people out of their jobs.
Yep.
They were like, look, these black people are going to come in and undercut our wages. They're going to say, I'll do that job for less money.
Right.
And so we have to have a minimum wage so we keep the jobs in white hands. And now you'll have these Democrats who are pushing a minimum wage, but this is now to help black. But you're like, wait, no, this policy either helps or hurts. I don't care what you're telling me it's for. It's
What
the
does it
same
do?
policy.
Right.
And so now the people who are pushing gun control may claim it's to help black people now, but it's the same policy. And Reagan, again in California, was pushing gun control to disarm the Black Panthers. And I mean, there's lots of examples throughout history of it.
When that happens, but you don't have any understanding that any of this shit happened, and all days you've been hit with safety, man, this is crazy. Because then you're affected by the trauma first.
Right.
And you go, damn, man, that is kind of crazy. And I get the logic. It's, well, if the gun wasn't there, then the person couldn't have done the thing. All right, cool. And I can get you. I'm with you there. First, I'm going to respect the trauma that you've been a part of. So we're going to start with that healing first. Then after that, I'm going to go, well, if the person that got shot would have had a gun, maybe he wouldn't have died.
Right.
Then I'm going to interject, and then you'll go, And then you'll go, the people that's actually pushing this policy, that's taking advantage of your trauma, your pain, your loss, those rules, they make themselves exempt from them.
Yeah.
So then they go, wait, what the fuck? Wait, what? Yeah. No, he's saying that he can do it, but you can't. All for me, none for thee. Then they go, what the fuck? Oh, yeah, by the way, they couldn't get the bill passed if the Fraternal Order of Police didn't say, well, not our guys, too. For them to go, yeah. Fraternal Order, FOP's behind it. So now the police can do it. Now the politicians can do it. The people that are supposed to serve and protect, well, not even protect, right? But serve the people on both sides, whether it's law enforcement or whether it's, never mind that there's way too many fucking laws, but either that or the politicians, right? Both of those people that are supposed to be serving the actual people are now have a right that they are creating rules for that you, the people, can't have. But if you don't know that that's the play, because they're pimping your trauma.
Yeah.
That's the really key. And nobody from the hood was saying that shit.
And it seems the thing that was so crazy to me was that you had this Black Lives Matter movement that was basically it's like like, I do get your point where you say, like, look, if you just think this through on a surface level, it's easy to go like, well, yeah, if we didn't have the guns, then there wouldn't be people getting shot by guns. It's almost more of a realist position to go to be like, yes, but okay, but we can't. Like, it's like, yeah, like if some woman gets raped and you're like, okay, you should have had a gun to protect yourself, you could be like, well, I wish there just weren't rapists. It's like, yes, okay, agreed.
Right, let's get rid of the rapists.
However, living in reality, understanding that there are predators amongst us, maybe we have to deal with that now. But the fact that you had this Black Lives Matter movement, I know your organization is kind of a play off of their name, but you had this movement that's basically saying, and when Black Lives Matter first popped up, I was very sympathetic to the movement because I actually do think there's a huge problem with mass incarceration, police aggressiveness, things that shouldn't be illegal. I mean, I don't know how many people have been harassed, incarcerated, assaulted over like a pot smell in the air, and just things that just shouldn't. And then they search the car, and then they find this,
fuck your
and then
Fourth
they find
Amendment.
Yes, like fuck your freedom completely. I mean, I live in here in New York where we had stop and frisk, which again, whether or not it was explicitly a racist program, in effect, it was basically a legal framework for police to just stop and harass black and Hispanic people, and white people as well, just not in as big numbers. For nothing. For literally nothing, for looking the wrong way. So I was sympathetic to the Black Lives Matter movement when it first rose up. But it's like, if you're telling me that there are these racist cops, like, who are going around, they have a monopoly on the weapons in this area, and they're going around, they're killing black people, locking black people up, harassing black people, they're this horrible organization. How many steps of logic does it take for your next thing to be like, well, then wouldn't you want black people to be armed?
The fucking Nazis?
Yes, why are you... I mean, I'll tell you the quick story. But it's really... so I was in Boston last year doing a comedy show with my buddy Lewis, who was out here floating around somewhere. And we were doing a comedy show, and it was the March for Our Lives or whatever thing was up there. They had a huge turnout. Now, we didn't even know. It was our last day in Boston. We were going around, hanging out a little bit, and we went to a movie. And the march was like right outside. And they've just got all these it was tens of thousands of people. It was a huge turnout. And it's like, oh, fuck, we got to make our way through this. So we go into the movie, and in the middle of the movie, the alarm starts going off, and someone comes over the loudspeaker and goes, there's an active emergency in the theater. Everyone needs to evacuate immediately. So there's this gun protest going on outside. They say active emergency. Everyone in the theater thinks there's a shooter in there. And you have to go through this stairwell, and people are like moving slow, and it's your adrenaline gets up pretty quick, and you're like, yo, we are fucking sitting ducks right here. And it was I had two clear thoughts in my mind. Number one was, my wife was pregnant at the time. I was like, I really need to not die today and get home to my wife. And the second thing I was thinking so clearly was, I really hope someone here has concealed carry. Like, it's like, I know they say it's just a talking point. You hope a good guy with a gun, but I was like, I hope there's either a cop or someone has a concealed carry, because you realize very quickly, if there is a bad guy with a gun, we are helpless unless someone here has a gun. And we're just sitting here waiting to take bullets from them, or
until the police happen to make their way through the 10,000 people.
Right, and
march in front of us.
the only reason you want the cops is because they have guns.
The gun.
You're like, I need a guy with a gun here.
You're a guy with a gun, right?
Yes.
Like, that's the funny thing. It's like when they be telling girls, like, yeah, take this rape whistle. You'll whistle, and someone with an actual gun
hopefully will hear your whistle.
The fuck is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with you?
But you can cut out the middleman here.
You could just like have the gun and then whistle for someone like with bandages to come. You know, like. The logic is there. A few points to that story, right? It was 10,000 people at that March for Our Lives rally. Where they get that bread from? As a person that's putting up, as doing a tour, right? Some of our classes are like 300-400 people, and we like, bro, this is we got a budget. We got to everything got to be right and exact. We got to keep the good records. We got to manage things. Y'all galvanized 10,000 people. Better PR. Where'd you get the paper from? Where'd the money come from? And why do they have such a vested interest? At the same time, you're saying these young people, their voices need to be heard, so much so that we want to lower the amount because they're so smart.
Yeah.
From
lower
18
the voting age
to 16. At the same time, they're going, well, young people at 18 aren't that mature, so raise the purchase of firearm age from 18 to 21. Nobody's talking about the age that you can buy cigarettes, the age of this. Nobody's talking about the age that, hey, guys, we can put you in a suit and send you over there to go kill for our economic interests.
Yeah.
We're not talking about changing them numbers. So when people start saying these types of things, and I'm like, yo, y'all are hella well funded around here. Y'all got like, this is like a rock concert.
Which and I'll say, by the way, the other thing, and just that classic great Dave Chappelle joke comes to mind, but when he does that, how old is 15 really? Because the other example of that is just that it's like also that you'll try as an adult. I mean, there'll be some 16-year-old if they kill someone, if they murder someone, you'll try them as an adult and give them life.
Right.
So if they're responsible for enough to be tried as an adult, shouldn't the ones who are not criminals be responsible enough to? I mean, it's one way or the other.
Right.
Either they are or they're not. Like
Which one is it?
they can't just be in one area, adults ready to go to war and vote.
Right. It's a rotating scale of like on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah, you're just a kid.
Right.
But then when it's time to invade Afghanistan, you seem pretty mature
fine.
now.
You're good.
When it's time to, vote away other people's freedoms, you seem pretty mature. But you want to take your own freedom into your own hands? And yeah, it's there really is something. I mean, look, one of the things, no matter how you feel about the issue of gun control, that should, if you look into it with an open mind, that should stand out to you is the unbelievable amount of hypocrisy and ignorance of the people who push gun control. There's probably no issue where people will take passionate stances and no less than the gun control issue.
So listen, they'll get into so me and my friends, right, we actually watch when they start talking to create talking points to counter and inform people about what they just said that's wrong. So we go, okay, the general public is going to think this is this, this is this, and this is this because this is their talking points for the next 3 months, right? So they'll go clip. This is a ghost gun. They'll say, and so we'll be able to create languaging because we know that you were exposed to that virus of ignorance.
Right.
So we'll be able to create languaging. There's no such thing as the ghost gun, bro. Well, no, they got 3D ones now that they're all plastic, bro. Okay, so now we got it, guys. We got to like make sure that we're telling people that the barrel and the upper is actually, the lower is plastic that's printed, but the barrel has to be metal because there's an explosion happening. You got to explain it. Okay, your ignorance is going to give me another tool to inform the general public, right? You got to do that. The PR game of that left is so amazing because they have to be. Because they can't just go, okay, guns save lives. If we dealing in facts and we go, well, we need federal such and such and such. Okay, well, there already is federal background checks every time you purchase a firearm. It's called a 4473. Every time you have a lawful purchase, you're going to fill out that form. Yes, at gun shows too. There is no such thing as the gun show.
Yeah, it's all just made up.
So since it's all fake, we have to make sure that they understand these falsehoods and give them the information. But where we're failing is the left is much better at respecting trauma and using it.
Yeah.
We go, because the logic becomes, man, that guy was an idiot, man. Why would he leave his firearm out? Because we know the facts. So we go, well, we're right. You don't get anything for being right. You could be right and still lose the fight.
Yeah.
Right? So, okay, cool. When we go to anti-gun rallies, with our Black Guns Matter shirts on, with all of these different things, or this You Right campaign, which is conflict resolution, right? We're going there to be supportive. We're not going in, if he had a gun, he would have, bro, this ain't time for that. We're here to help support our community and show, listen, there was massive ignorance in this scenario, and we're going to light that candle, burn them incense and sage with you too.
Right.
At the same time, when you're ready to have a different conversation, well, are you a pro-gun guy? Yeah, I am, but this conversation ain't about guns. Well, what do you think about, well, since you're asking, wouldn't you have wanted, one of your family members or one of the people that over in New Zealand, would you have, if those people in any tragedy, wouldn't you want them to have had the means to defend their own life? If that's your brother, wouldn't you want, if I'm, the alarm is going out at the movie theater, at that moment, everybody goes, damn, I wish I had a gun.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if you want the people to have the option to protect life, because that's what firearms are for, to protect life. I'm only taking life to protect life.
Right.
If it's go time, because some idiot jumped in here and wanted to do whatever in here, it's time to get busy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if that's to protect life. So I want people around that understand that's the reason, but that turns into a culture issue. We are failing at acknowledging trauma. We are failing at being proactive. We are failing at showing that even if you don't want a gun, you probably still aren't anti-gun. You just are missing information and or you're scared because you don't know anything about the actual firearm.
Yeah.
And you've been fed misinformation. So you're hard-pressed to hear somebody go, yeah, police shouldn't have guns either, or the military, right? Because if you're anti-gun, it's like 1 out of like 1,000 people will go, yeah, all of the guns. Okay, cool. You're actually anti-gun.
Right, but it's very few of that. You don't hear that come up at all. It's like, so you're not anti-gun. You just think only the state should have guns, which, of course, the state has been the biggest purveyor of the worst crimes against humanity throughout all of history. Like, anything that you want to talk about, I mean, individuals have done bad things. Groups have done bad things.
Right.
Nobody's done it on the scale of the state, whether it's slavery, which was the law of the land, the Holocaust, anything you want to think about. So the 80 million killed under communism,
Right.
like all of this shit was run by the state. So really, do we want to let them have a monopoly on these guns? Is that the best idea?
Is your justification, and then you'll hear that, well, you and your one gun couldn't, and I'll be like, well, look at Vietnam.
Yeah.
So, like, we were the military. Look at Afghanistan now.
Afghanistan right now.
Them brothers is like, listen, man. And don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying this because I want to be very clear. I got friends, family members that are in the military, and I'll tell them if we having an honest conversation, I'm like, listen, bro, you join that for like the bennies.
Yeah.
You join that for like the GI Bill, and you let that recruiter gas you up. I still love you. I want you to come home safe, my brother. And if that's the structure that you need in the sense of getting your life together, cool. But we're going to have a conversation genuinely about what you just signed up for.
Yeah. And I have spoken with a lot of military people who are way more honest about this stuff than you would think. And
Yep.
a lot of them, I also think a lot of them, it's part of the reason why I think we have so many suicides of people coming home, so much depression and stuff like that, more so even than way bloodier wars, is that I think after a while, a lot of the soldiers realize that they can't really blame a lot of the people who are shooting back at them because they would do the same thing
Yep.
if some other army was invading their country. Feel however you feel about the people of Afghanistan. That's
Right.
their home, man.
Right.
That's their home that you're coming into.
Right.
And
So can I come into your crib 4:00 in the morning, like snatching your poppy fields?
yeah.
Can I do that? Can I come in your house 4:00 in the morning and take one cigarette out of your pack?
Yeah, really. I
It's
mean,
like, get the fuck out of my house.
That's
bro.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's the same concept. And I think when we start looking at it from that objective view, that does not mean, listen, I'm a gun freedom dude. Yeah, I want the military. I want the show of military might. I'd rather be, the warrior with the sword in the garden
Right.
as opposed to the gardener in the war with no sword.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
you know what I'm saying? So I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying, like, yo, some of these things, again, this campaign, you right? Identifying what are actual conflicts, like actual stuff. Not like somebody was like, yo, we could really get them for that. You know what I mean? Them diamonds over there, bro. Like, we could really get that. You know what I'm saying? That's not an actual conflict. That's somebody's, like, interest.
Right.
A real conflict is Hitler going, yo, bro, we coming to take all this shit and fuck all of what you on. We want all of that. All right, it's conflict. Well, fuck it. Let's have it. That's a difference. We haven't seen one of them.
Yeah.
And some time now. And it's like, it's time for American people to kind of like wake up and listen, man, I am not anti-America. I'm anti the bullshit that people, certain select few, be trying to act like is what America's genuine, what they want.
And it seems to me very, like, it's never been more clear to me than in 2019. But it's like if you look at the political landscape or you turn on the media or you get lost in some YouTube journey, it's like we're so divided. Everybody's pitted against each other. And then you walk outside and you enter the real world and you're like, none of this is really going on. This is all kind of made up. Like, you could get lost down a YouTube rally and be like, we're on the verge of a race war in this country. It's going down. You look at these social justice warriors on college campus. They're like, the fascists have risen. Like, it's white privilege and white men are destroying everything. Then you look at these alt-right videos and it's like, we need a white ethno-state and all this and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, holy shit, it's going down. And then I just walk out my door. And there's just kind of people of all races. Right. We're all just kind of going to the store to get it. Yeah, it's like everyone's.
Hey, Keisha, what's happening?
We actually kind of seem to be fine.
Right.
Like, and then you
did you smoke today?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Would you like to smoke now? Great.
Like, it's like people. This all seems to be working, and then you're like, you almost have to wonder who's benefiting off everybody feeling like we're so pitted against each other.
It's a movie that explains that shit perfectly. I'm a movie dude. So
Okay.
in Philly, I sold a gang of like DVDs when that was the thing, right?
Oh yeah.
On the trains, allegedly.
I missed that day. There used to be a guy like in my Chinese food spot who would
With
sell
him.
DVDs.
3
While
for
you were
10, I
waiting for
got
your
you.
chicken wings, you
Yep.
just get a DVD.
You fuck around, you make like buy a Benz off of allegedly buy a Benz off of DVD money. Pete, because I watch so many movies, movies for me is like downloading information, and I go, well, that's interesting. Damn, that might be some predictive programming bullshit. Oh shit, that's cool. The movie that explains this perfectly is Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows, with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law, and Moriarty is the dude that's like, it's the second one. He did all of this stuff. Spoiler alert. He did all of this stuff because he wanted to own like the weapons, the militia. He wanted to sell the bullets and the bandages. So it's like Lord of War with Nicolas Cage. It's like, listen, I saw the rightist, I saw the leftist, and you're not a true gun runner until, what he said in the movie is, you're not a true gun runner until you've supplied your nation's enemies guns to kill your own countrymen. And I was like, oh shit, has no one seen this movie? Right? And so the point there is, there are people that are interested in the chaos or the perceived chaos because being in that constant fear state, I could just sell you shit. You in a constant fear state, you think your lady gonna leave you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna get divorced and shit. Now, if I just wanted to sell 2 households worth of toilet paper.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As opposed to like being conservative and like, yo, let's do a budget and let's chill. And damn, you didn't really do anything to me, but I have an insecurity about a thing. Can we talk about it? Because I'm insecure about this. You know what I'm saying? And actually like bringing like, hell, I can't sell, like that's why gun sales was through the roof when Obama was in office.
Right.
They're coming. And it's like, listen, if you want to buy guns, buy as many as you want. Make your moves based off of logic, not fear. So those people that are doing those things to keep everybody seemingly so divided, their interest is selling things.
Yeah, and I think in many cases it's selling more state authoritarianism.
Yep.
And because if you really do think this like shit is about to go down, then the human nature is you start looking for a strong man to be your leader. Because we got to start tribing up, and I better have my leader. You better have your leader. Oh, did my leader deviate from what I really believe? Well, whatever. We're going to war, so I need this guy in my corner. All right, we are coming up against our time here, but I don't want to get out of here without asking you about the city council position that you're running for. So when did you decide to do this, and what's going on with that?
So it's, I'm running for city council at large in Philly.
Okay.
The website is maj4philly.com. maj4philly.com. I'm just like, after talking like with Thomas Massie and getting, like I'm around like highly principled, highly knowledgeable individuals. And then I'm around like high school dropouts like me. Right? And I'm like, oh, we all kind of like get it, right? So that whole like only certain people get it. Nah, the founding fathers was like regular. There's a book by Brian Kilmeade, The Secret Six. He's talking about the 6 people that like helped America be formed that got killed, but George Washington needed these unsung heroes. That's the general public. Most of us are the general public. And I think it's interesting how they make the celebrities seem like they're the one, but even the celebrities need the follow of all of the general public. And seeing that, it's like, yo, I'm brave. I don't really give a shit. Like, if you don't like me, this matters. This makes sense. This works. These things don't. I think that with President Trump winning, it showed like more people want, even though he's a billionaire, people at least want somebody that's at least going to like, we might disagree, but he's not scared to like say things that don't fit the traditional mold.
Yeah.
I honestly think there needs to be more public servants that understand that. I think there needs to be more public servants that are going, as soon as I take this office at city council at large, I don't have a voice anymore. My voice is for those people. That's all I've been doing over the last 3 years. Yo, this is what y'all need in y'all town. And these are your concerns, and we can address those. So when I do national platforms, I'm addressing the same thing just for the people in all of these different demographics. But because I've been across the country 7, 8, 9, 10 times, It's the same story everywhere in these hardworking places. So for me, it was like, all right, well, just go local, do it in your hood, see what happens. It's everybody that's listening to and watching this, go over to the website, volunteer if you can, donate, please donate. You know what I'm saying? And just like be some of that change. Right now, politicians treat me like black media tries to. Y'all are fully aware of what we doing.
Right.
But y'all going to try to act like, over here. But if I'm in the room and if I'm a councilman with you, I'm still Maj. I'm still, my interest in who I speak for and who allows me to speak for them is still going to be that same hood. I'm still going to talk about genuine things, and I want everybody to hold me accountable to the things. The stuff that I'm running on, if I do the opposite, call me out. Don't vote for me. Don't support my initiatives. Don't do any of that, right? I think that we need just that type of transparency and seeing people, again, like you started the conversation talking about Rep. Thomas Massie down in Kentucky, seeing somebody walk the walk and be in the middle of D.C. where all of the corruption is. It's like, yo, I could do city council in Philly. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be an interesting ride. I'm interested to see how I hold up under those lights.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think it'll be cool. Worst thing happens, I win. You know what I'm saying? Best thing happens, I get a bunch of lessons, and I'm still outside doing this community work.
All right. Well, look, man, I wish you the best of luck, and I've really enjoyed talking with you today. And next time you're in New York, let me know. We'll do it again. So the website is Maj4.
Yeah, Maj, M-A-J, the number 4, Philly.com. Anybody that's listening right now, if y'all have heard anything that y'all agree with, please, y'all, we got like $20-something thousand to raise for the entire year of 2019. Please go to the GoFundMe, pay it forward, GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter, because we're going to places, and these classes are free to everyone. We want to make sure that people have the information, have the resources, link up with people to make sure they're knowing about the Second Amendment, knowing about conflict resolution, knowing about the political process in their locality. So, if you guys liked it today, please, hit the website, GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter.
All right, guys, go help this out. This is a good movement. I think what you're doing is really great stuff, and I wish you best of luck with it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back on Friday with a new episode. Goodbye.